Although it has been a hell of a long time since I last covered the series on this channel, I must say I really love Baki, and my favorite character in this series, and well, my favorite part of the series overall, is the king, the world's strongest creature, the ogre Hanma Yujiro. And that's not just because he's some OP alpha chad, but instead due to the thematic importance he has to Baki as a story, and due to the nuanced way his character is handled by Itagaki to explore the idea of strength and what it means to be the strongest. I'll try to get this video as anime-friendly as possible, but I will occasionally mention manga-only parts of the story, but not the ones that have massive spoilers. So, let's jump in and discuss the world's strongest creature. If you find yourself entertained at any point during the video, then consider liking, subscribing, and ringing that bell, as I can't explain to you how much such a small action can do for this channel. Anyway, on with the video. Baki is a series about strength. The idea of what it means to be strong and what it means to become strong are up there for some of the most important themes explored in the entire 1,000-chapter-plus narrative. As you would have heard countless times if you have watched the 90s Baki anime, if someone is born a male, at least once in his life he'll dream of becoming the strongest man alive. Grappler, the martial artist who aims to become the strongest in the world. That is the essence of the entire story, encapsulated in one line. After all, it's Grappler Baki. It's the story of Baki becoming the ultimate grappler, a martial artist who aims to become the strongest in the world. But this line also can reference pretty much every character in the story, as one thing that links them all together is their desire for strength. I mean, look no further than the Maximum Tournament arc, where 32 men fought out with the aim of discovering who is the strongest. These men risked their careers, their titles, their lives, and their futures all for this simple desire to be the strongest. As Michael says, this tournament is more important than any title match. We see the lengths these fighters go toward their goal of being the strongest. But even so, we know that none of them will ever reach this goal. And that is because the strongest already exists, and this is Hanma Yujiro. He stopped an earthquake with a punch, walked through bulletproof glass, and made the skyscraper shake by standing in it, and can beat any living creature on the planet. Even cancer and age couldn't kill him. Yujiro is the definition of strong. Sure, other characters in the series do have insane feats, but Yujiro's always stand on another level. They say that he is always getting stronger, even when he's far above everyone else on the planet, but he still gets stronger. There is an unreachable gap between Yujiro and the rest of humanity. No, the rest of life on the entire planet. And that's the point of his character. He is strength personified. If the idea of strength was a person, it would be Hanma Yujiro. With strength comes many things, but most importantly comes freedom. Even if Oliver may have things to say about it, Yujiro is without a doubt the most free character in the entire series, as Yujiro isn't constrained by the law. He isn't constrained by borders or society, not even by human morals. He's free to do whatever he wants without consequence, because no one can stop him. He can be as violent and as heinous and as arrogant as he wants, as who is going to tell him not to be? And that's why he is the way he is. He is free to act on every impulsive, hypocritical, and chaotic thought he has, and that in a way is just deeply sad. Although I'm not saying Yujiro isn't at fault for the countless heinous acts he has committed across the series, I can't help but feel a tinge of sorrow knowing that he is just like everybody else, but unlike the rest of us, doesn't have anything to halt him back. We've all thought about doing something bad or messed up. We've all, at some point in our life, thought, oh, if only I could beat that guy up. Or, if only I could make that person get what's coming to them. Due to the fact that we are weak, the fear of the consequences, we never go through with such fleeting thoughts. However, what if you were strong enough to act on those thoughts? What if you had no fear of the consequences? In that case, why wouldn't you do it? And that is what it's like to Yujiro. The man, upon birth, didn't wait to suckle from his mother. No, he took the milk by force. He, from the moment he was born, was strong. Most people, no matter how strong they are, experience the weakness of being an infant, but not Yujiro. And as such, he has never known what it meant to be weak, and never knew what it meant to be denied something. He hates the weak because he doesn't understand them. He feels so isolated from the world because no one is like him. They don't live in the world of freedom that he does, one without any kind of restraint. That's the reason he is friends with people who, like him, are free. First, there is Oliver the Unchained, the person who is known as the freest man in the world. He makes a mockery of an entire nation, leaving prison whenever he pleases. Then there's Muhammad Ali, someone he fought against, the USA, the strongest country in the world, in protest of his rights. It wasn't that Yujiro respected his agenda, it was that he respected the man who risked his title and his life in order to oppose the United States of America. Even someone like Ando is free in a sense. He lives in the wilderness, the lands of the bears, and survives by preying on them, even though it's their world. All of Yujiro's friends are people that are free in one way or another, as he can't relate to the weak, the ones who bow down to others and don't do whatever they want. Yujiro, in the broadest sense, can be called a human without constraint. He is someone who acts on impulses, emotion, without the shackles of reason, logic, or society, and that is why he is so respected in the Baki world, despite how horrible a human being he is. And I think, in a way, we can all envy Yujiro a little in that sense. To be able to live freely without any care of what other people do or say is something that sounds absurd, but it sounds enticing at the same time. It feels liberating, but there is such a thing as being too free. So free you become shackled by it. Yujiro, due to his immense level of freedom, because he can act on all his emotions to the fullest, is deeply alone. Any connections he forms can be broken in an instant, just from some impulse he has no reason not to act on. His relationship with Emmy wasn't a loving one, but the fact he could end a 15-year-old relationship just on a violent impulse is both shocking and saddening. No matter how happy something makes Yujiro, if he has one negative thought about it, it's at risk of being destroyed, as he single-handedly destroys everything he loves in this world by his own hands. He killed the closest thing in the world to a woman he loved and neglected his child, the only family he had left. If he was constrained by morality, then maybe he wouldn't do these things, and maybe he would have been happier for it. But due to being so strong, this just never occurred. Human nature is explored heavily in Baki, and Yujiro being the freest to act on his human nature shows the most wicked and evil sides of humanity. Yujiro isn't held back by morality. He doesn't see right and wrong, and so to him, none of his actions are any different. But to us, we can see the world through the lenses of human morality. We can see just how twisted the human mind can be, as everything Yujiro does. It's not the act of a monster, but of a human. It is something we are all capable of. We just don't do it due to the constraints of morality, society, and the law. And that's what is so sickening, as Yujiro is a human. In some ways, you can even call him the ideal human, the strongest and most free of all humans. But just like how too much medicine is poison, too much strength is weakness. Yujiro is too strong. He gets enjoyment out of life, sure, be it through drinking, eating, sexual activity, or physical exertion. But the one thing he loves most is fighting. And that's the one thing he will never be able to enjoy to the fullest, as no one will ever give him the fight he wants, as everyone is weaker than him. To be denied the one thing you want most in the world because you were too strong is such an absurd but, at the same time, understandable thing. Something that could drive a man to act on every impulse and attempt to feel the joy he knows he will never get to experience. He constantly seeks out strength, but by doing so becomes even further and further away from his dream of having an ultimate fight, one that will challenge him. That is Yujiro Hanma, a man free of all constraints, but ultimately shackled by his own strength.